Warm welcome to our UNCCLA Listens and Speaks. This is episode 66, and my name is Sarah Epidemiologist. It's really a pleasure to be back here to speak to you. And this evening, we bring you a topic that touches most of us, especially professionals. It may not be in the profession that you're in, but somehow it enlightens you on how you can maybe navigate the challenges that you meet at work. And the topic we are discussing this evening is the Catholic doctor at the workplace. Maybe if you're a lawyer, you can say the Catholic lawyer. If you're a journalist like me, you can say the Catholic journalist at the workplace. And to help me discuss this topic this evening is our guest, Dr. Jacqueline Balungi Kanywa. She is a medical doctor, public health and epidemiologist. Hey.
How's that? Epidemiologist.
Oh, God.
It's short.
That's too much. Hello, warm welcome to UNCCLA Listens and Speaks. I'm so glad to be having you this evening. This is one of the topics that I have longed all my life to discuss, and I'm really grateful that I get to discuss it with you. So I will ask you to introduce yourself to our viewers and our listeners. We are live on UCTV, Uganda Catholic Television. We are also live on YouTube, on UCTV and UNCCLA. We are also live on Zoom. So wherever you're watching from, please, you have unlimited spaces to find us this evening. Don't say, I couldn't catch you on TV, I'm moving, you can join us on Zoom. So Doctor, please introduce yourself and then we can dive into this topic.
Okay, thank you, Sarah, for having me.
You're welcome.
I thank the management of the Uganda Catholic Television Network for the honor to be here. I want to greet our viewers, and I pray this hour will be an hour of blessing to all of us.
Amen.
You who are logged in, tuned in, and we who are here. I'm Dr. Jacqueline Balungi Kanywa. I'm a medical officer and public health epidemiologist, and a graduate of Makerere University and the University of Texas School of Public Health. I have 24 years work experience, mostly treating children and adolescents, teenagers with HIV. And currently I'm the clinic manager at Baylor College of Medicine, Children's Foundation, Uganda. We are located at Mulago National Referral Hospital. And prior to that, I was privileged to work at St. Mary's Hospital, Lacho in Gulu. And Sarah, today I'm here to share my personal views. I'm not sharing the views of the Catholic Church or my employer or our donors and different stakeholders. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're most welcome. And thanks for that disclaimer. Someone might say, oh, she was there, she spoke on behalf of all Catholics. So it's good to have that disclaimer.
Yeah.
So did you always want to be a doctor?
I like answering that question. I was 9 years old and I was watching a television program where there were these well-dressed doctors in theater operating on a child. And I don't know, I remember they put the liver on a plate and it simmered, like steam came off it in my little mind.
Oh, yeah.
And I was so impressed. And the patient used to be flown to the hospital. It must have been somewhere in USA. I just love to see this child who later I learned had cancer because their hair was off, they were so thin, and they recovered. And then I told myself, I want to be a doctor. I was 9 years old and I was not very intelligent in class at that time. So my guardian used to ask me, how are you going to be a doctor when you're always playing? But somehow when I started to focus on reading, and if my sister Margaret is watching, hi, and if Josephine is watching, hi. I remember sitting down with them. They were very bright kids. They were my older sisters. And they were asking, I asked them that, you guys, how do you do it? You're always performing well. And so they told me, Jack, you like playing, but if you sit down and study and read and ask questions in class, you'll see a change. So I started to see a change in my academics. And by S1, I was top of the class. And then I joined Makerere University, and I remember a friend of mine who we last saw each other in primary, the one who knew the old me. We meet at campus after so many years. And then he asks me, what course are you doing? And I'm like, medicine, I'm at medical school. And he's like, Jackie, when did you become bright? So why I like talking about that story is all children have potential. As long as a baby cried at birth, we doctors and midwives know when a baby cries at birth, it's a good sign. Their brain is very functional. All children have potential to be something. So parents listening in, don't give up. I'm here.
Oh yeah, I hope my daughter is listening. She wants to be a doctor.
She can be a
and
doctor.
I hope she's picking.
And I'm very excited.
Inspiration.
I'm very excited. My own daughter is pursuing her degree in dentistry.
Oh, yeah.
And she wants to be a doctor as well.
That is wonderful.
Yeah.
So diving into our topic, being a doctor and being Catholic, I know that there are so many things that you have to navigate, especially putting your moral character and then the professional ethics into question. How does being a Catholic affect your work, both in a good way and maybe in a negative way somehow?
I hope there's no negative way. Thank you so much, Sarah. There's lots of situations that we meet at the workplace as Christians, as Catholics, and you have to serve beyond what you have studied maybe in school. I'll give an example, or even before we go very far, when someone hears health, the next thing they're thinking of is the doctors, the nurses, and all. But then what is health? The World Health Organization, which is a body, and I'm not sharing the views of the WHO. These are things that are common on the,
and on the
internet.
Yeah.
Yes, it defines health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not just merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So that definition of health is pretty broad, and it gives you, the Catholic doctor, the Christian doctor, a huge opportunity to actually serve. And I always think that we in the health field, we are so privileged that we are the healing arm of Jesus to the sick. And so when we wake up in the morning and you're preparing to go to work, you need to step aside and honor God and pray and thank Him for giving you that opportunity to go and touch someone who is not doing okay. They might be sick, they might be dealing with mental health issues, they might be dealing with social circumstances that are very complicated for them. So I'll give an example or several examples of issues that I have personally met or experienced at the workplace. One of them, I told you, I mostly have treated people with HIV. And if there's any of my clients watching, hi, sending you much love. Sometimes we come across Christians of different denominations refusing chronic medication, looking upon it as though it's a curse. For instance, to have HIV and to be on treatment for that long. And for the 24 years I have been in the medical field, we have seen people dying of AIDS simply because they refuse to be on treatment. And then we have seen people living very healthy, fulfilled, beautiful lives because they accepted their situation and they went on to treatment. So when we have such a dilemma, of course, there is a science. You're going to share with your patient, give them what we call treatment literacy. Tell them what is going to happen to their body, for instance, if they refuse the treatment.
Yes.
But then now as a Catholic doctor, as a Christian, you have an opportunity actually to ask your patient, what is their religious inclination? And especially when it's Christian, I love that. They'll tell me whichever faith it is.
Now, maybe to come in there, we have a new world of children, a new society where people feel offended because you have asked which denomination they belong to.
No. Part of our medical training, we ask so many questions, especially when we meet the client for the first time. We don't only ask about the disease or the symptoms they have, like fever, cough.
Yes.
As the WHO defines. Health is broad. It is someone's mental health, someone's social well-being, the physical state. So actually asking about someone's religious inclination is part and parcel of what we call clacking, knowing your patient. We find out their level of education, their employment, because there are certain diseases that are linked to what people do.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And so I love it when I meet a Christian who is battling with chronic treatment, especially with HIV, because that's where I've been most of my life as a worker. And I love to bring the examples in the Bible. One thing that unites us as Christians, we all love Jesus and we all subscribe to the Bible.
Yeah.
And I'll bring in examples of Sarah, the wife to Abraham. She waited until she was 90 years old to have a child. So I usually ask my patient who is giving up, are you at 90 years with HIV that you're giving up on this treatment? And then we have stories of the man who was at the pond, and every time the angel of God, it was not just some random thing that came to stir. The angel of God came to stir the water in the pond. And the first person to fall in got healed. 38 years, this man sat at the pond. It kind of gives me this, it helps me know that we are human and God is God. Only God knows why people have to be waiting that long. So I like to share with my patients the virtue of patience. We have examples of this. I think it should be a soldier. I'm not a priest or nun, but I love to follow through with the stories in the Bible, and I believe in them. The man who had to go and dip himself 7 times in the river for his skin to get well. And then I think also in the Old Testament, there's somewhere where I think it's God saying, is there no balm in Gilead? Why are my people sick? A balm is like a plant that brings healing. So I like to tell, especially my patients who have HIV, that the ARVs are the balm in Gilead. And so it's easier when it's a Christian. And then it's so beautiful when it's a Catholic. You get the opportunity to actually converse with them along their faith, encourage them to pray, encourage them to ask the saints to pray with them, to ask Mother Mary to pray with them. I think it's so beautiful being Catholic. You have all this crowd of witnesses who are with you, who walk with you. And only God knows why our bodies have to go through different challenges. So that's just an example of the issue of spiritual healing. Yes, we believe God can perform miracles. Someone can wake up and they're instantly healed. It is God. He will do that whenever he wishes to. But in the meantime, can we use what he has given us knowledge in? Can we utilize the medications we have? And in the past, we used to have, before the missionaries came, healing was mostly by the traditional healers, mostly herbalists. And I got to learn more about the history of health in Uganda. So it mostly was herbalists, and most of them actually were just plain herbalists with no spiritual attachment to tell you that maybe your neighbor is doing stuff to you. So 95% of the healers were herbalists. But with the coming of the missionaries, they came along also with modern medicine, which is kind of much more easier to understand, to juggle. The doses are clear, the side effects are clear and all. And I think I can't speak for what happened in the 1950s. A law was set up called the Witchcraft Act, where we were all banned. I wasn't there, but it's the Ugandans. We were banned from using herbal treatments or going to spiritualists for healing. And it's like we were to conform to modern medicine. And of course, I guess that brought a lot of, I think, friction, confusion. Because as we speak today, a lot of people actually do go to the herbalist. But I'm happy that I think it was in 1970s when the World Health Organization, the body that oversees health for the world, working with governments, decided to work with governments and encourage governments to study traditional medicines. And I think we also how we got COVID and things. Of course, there were a bit of controversies, but like we're getting the herbalists to come on board so that we understand what is this that treats what.
They're being recognized.
They're being
and their work is
recognized
being
and
respected now.
yes, and also they're being supported to at least pass their remedies through the scientific known process. You know, even this Panadol that we take for headache, it had to go through scientific process to see is it safe. And actually, Panadol can actually cause liver failure if misused. So even the herbs have to go through that. So I'm happy that there's a balance now. And it's very important for the sick to especially utilize medications that are approved by the National Drug Authority, even though they are herbs by the national. So we are in that process of making sure that we have standards. I look at medical or herbal standards the way I see, for example, the priesthood. You don't just wake up one day and then because you read some chapters in the Bible, you start up a church and start to preach. You go through training. So even the herbs, the teams that use herbs, they have to accept to go through the known scientific methods that have brought modern medicine to where it is today. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, that's nice. I wanted on that. Have you met a patient who says, I am not Catholic and I am not comfortable being worked on by you, a Catholic, especially when you start talking about the faith, maybe a Muslim or someone else who says, can I get maybe a doctor that I relate to in faith?
Yes.
Have you encountered this and how do you deal with it?
Yes. Issues of faith are interesting. Usually the bit of faith will come in after you're done with your patient. You've gotten to know what disease they have. You know what treatment you're going to give them. And this conversation comes usually, in my case, like at the end, and not for everyone. And I haven't had, it's not like an imposing of my faith. For Christians, it's easy. I mean, you're talking about Christ and what the Bible says. But I'm very conscious personally when I receive, especially like, for example, Muslims, you know what we wear gives us away. My rosary and my medal will be like, Jackie's Catholic. But sometimes you get this Muslim person coming to you and you have to respect them. I mean, they came for healthcare. They didn't come to be converted to your beliefs. And sometimes you meet someone actually who later will tell you they're atheist. So it's important to actually respect people. And one thing I know is the different religions and faiths, even atheists, we all believe in goodwill. We all believe in, I may not call it morally upright, but we believe in doing things that are just and fair. Like recently, I received this very beautiful looking 15-year-old Muslim girl. She was dressed up in her Sharia or fully covered up in black, and she looked extremely innocent. And she had come for medical attention, unaccompanied, transport issues. She comes from a lowly family, a low background. And I look at this child and I have finished to do everything that I have to do with her. And my heart tells me, encourage her to be faithful to her teachings. I actually asked her, I see you're so beautifully dressed as a Muslim. Do you really say your prayers? And she's like, yes, I do. I'm like, you go for Juma prayers? I have no idea what's in Juma prayers, but I know it's probably good stuff.
Yes,
and I have many Muslim friends. So I encouraged her and I told her, I know in Islam you're taught to keep yourselves well, to keep yourselves pure. I want you to hold on to that. And there are good things ahead coming when you keep yourself well. I'm also privileged that I attended Muslim senior school for 6 years. All my senior school years, I was in Muslim school. And I learned to appreciate the good in other faiths. We might not agree on certain things, but then there's so much that unites us as people trying to know God. And God knows. If he has let people be, then let them be. It's him who converts them, perhaps as they see us live out a certain life that makes them curious to know what is so different about you. And then you share. And then sometimes I have met, mostly, we deal with the urban poor families. They're the ones that we treat most. And sometimes I once met this very intelligent person. I hope they are watching. I'll say they, I hope I'll not later switch to what gender they are. This person was extremely intelligent and struggling with senior school. You know, like when you have this child who's always like top of the class, or they're always in the top 5, and then you're literally seeing them dropping out of school because of their social circumstances. I had to reach out to my Muslim colleagues at work, and I'm like, here is this Muslim child. I know there's Muslim aid somewhere. We can't afford to have this young man or young person drop out of school. I'm so grateful. He actually joined medical school and completed his degree, and he has completed his, I finally said it's okay. He's completed his master's program, and he looks at me as his mentor, and he's still Muslim. And we get along so well. Like, it's not really religion that's the key thing. It's that ability to be humane with your patients and with your colleagues at work. Yes.
Oh, thank you so much. So if you're just joining us, you're most welcome. This is UNCCLA Listens and Speaks. We're on episode 66, and our topic today is the Catholic doctor at the workplace. Today I'm glad to be hosting Dr. Jacqueline Balungi.
Yes.
I'm really, really grateful to have you. I'm learning a lot.
Thank you.
And maybe I wanted to find out, not like I think you mentioned it earlier, there are people who believe that I've gone to church, I've been healed, I don't need medicine anymore. And maybe this person has been your patient and they've now disappeared.
Yeah.
They're no longer coming to the hospital. Do you find it as an obligation, not just as a doctor, but also as a Catholic, to follow up with these patients back home? Or does your duty as a doctor and whichever faith you practice at work end here at your workplace?
Some of these things happen not just simply because we are Catholic. Like, for instance, in the HIV program, we are supported by the Ministry of Health, by the donors, to make sure that our patients are on treatment for life. And when they don't come anymore, we actually go knocking at their door. We have a whole system of social workers. And it's important for the Catholic doctor to actually know who is the social worker in your vicinity. We have patients with needs. There might be that one who refuses treatment, but also we have families that are extremely poor, and they come to you, and then you see this sick person, they can't even afford treatment, and you ask yourself, what am I going to do? You cannot turn a cold eye or a blind eye, a cold heart to such a person. It's not your calling, really. So sometimes we have dipped into our pockets. Sometimes I have done fundraisers at work. Usually I go through our social worker. I hope they are watching. I ask my colleagues, I'll be on TV. And sometimes we have made donation drives to support families. So as a Catholic doctor, a Christian doctor, you can't just end like, okay, I prescribe for you, it's up to you if you buy the treatment, you know? Or sometimes when you're not able to help, at least see what's the social network for this patient. Maybe there's an uncle somewhere, or there's a church community somewhere they can reach to, or somewhere they can get some aid to help them.
As I actually wanted to ask, so now I've come to you, I've said, you know what, doctor, I'm healed. I went to the church, they prayed for me, I'm officially healed. I no longer have to come here, I leave. Is it ethical for you to go to a church community, maybe where this person goes for prayers, and talk to them?
Yes.
Or is it
like you read we actually have all this programming.
Unethical?
No, it's totally permitted. And I know I'm not speaking the views of the Uganda Ministry of Health, but I mean, I have worked with MOH, with different donor agencies and all. The program allows us, not just as Catholic, but as people in the health field, to go to that community that is having dangerous practices. And then you look for the leaders, because people listen a lot to the leaders. And then you educate them. Most times it's ignorance. And I think God says these people perish because of
The ignorance.
The ignorance.
Yes.
Yes. So we have been able to reach out to different congregations, different faith structures. We have some faiths that didn't so much believe in vaccination, and that's one of the issues actually that affects us in the health field. There's a lot of misinformation.
Yes.
So as a Catholic doctor, my advice is know your source of truth. Know your source of truth. You know, it's like how we have Christianity benchmarked on, for example, the Bible for many believers. But then when you come to the Catholic Church, we have the magisterium, we have the sacred traditions, and then we have the Bible. And there's this structure that enables all of us to be of one communion, to receive the same messaging, interpreted in various ways, but in ways that the church acknowledges. But it's easy for someone, for instance, to pick up the Bible, and then you find person one interprets things differently, totally opposite of person two or person three. And also in health, we have that problem. So as a Catholic doctor, what is your source of truth? It is so important for us to know our source of truth is the Uganda Ministry of Health. Our source of health truth is the World Health Organization. Our source of health truth is the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, at least those three. There's so much that goes on social media. Sometimes you find someone who looks like Jackie, you know, with artificial intelligence and all these things going on. They can get us here in this talk with everything showing that we were at the Catholic television network, and they'll make our mouths talk like we're speaking political things and planning to overthrow somebody. You get. So we have to be very careful what we watch on especially social media, because it's not regulated. So it's important, if you hear something, okay, go and tune in and log in, for instance, the Ministry of Health website, authentic, or go to television. These are regulated. I saw our certificate as I came in. Like, I think the media house is regulated by the Communications Commission. So it's so important for the Catholic doctor, but also all doctors and health providers to be conscious of where is my source of truth. I recall when the COVID vaccines came, there was all this confusion. And I won't pretend that I believed everything that the ministry was saying, because there was just so much going on with videos coming. They're going to finish us, they're going to kill us, you know, until I reached that point when I asked myself, Jackie, you are a doctor. How did you become a doctor? Did you become a doctor because you were always watching things on the phone? Or did you become a doctor because you had proper training? The Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education and Higher Learning, you know, the institutions of higher learning had a curriculum for you. Once I told myself that, I had to take a vaccinology course online. Wow. When I finished my course, I went for my vaccines and I took my whole family with me. So it is so important. And then I learned actually there's a hierarchy of how people take on positive news. And I think we need to take the mic away from ignorant people who are so loud and disrupting the media. And they tend to be very consistent.
But of course, because the people who have the information often are shy. They don't want to share. So you go to someone and they say, why me? I'm shy. I can't be on TV. But there is someone who is readily available anytime. And what they are sharing, because they say they are a doctor, will take it as the gospel truth because we don't know better. We are not doctors. So it helps, and I hope today we have more Catholic doctors who are watching, that in the future, if you're called upon to come and explain maybe about a certain disease or anything that is affecting people, you will say yes, so that we don't have to go getting these quack doctors who come and lie to the people.
And you know, it's almost similar to what you're saying. Many times when people are sick, they are likely to go to any open little building that has clinic or whatever it is. But for example, at our workplace, we always encourage our clients, go to a government health facility or a missionary or faith-based facility, because we are very sure the teams there are qualified to offer treatment. We have a lot of people who During the daytime, they might be cleaners in the hospital.
Yes.
And then in the evening, they're in the drug shop selling. Yes, they are doctors. So it's so important to have structure and order. Yes.
Wow. Thank you. We are about to take our break, but as we head to the break, I wanted to ask something. When you talked about COVID, it reminded me of something that most of us, like you said, we were taking all this information
You were
from
not
the
alone.
internet.
I was in there with you.
Now imagine if you, the doctors, were confused,
Yes.
what was happening to us?
Yes.
And we did not know where to turn to.
Yes.
Now, the doctors that are allowed were on the Twitter spaces giving us all this information. They were hosting WhatsApp, calls. They were on Zoom, Now, where do the Catholic doctors come in when we have like such a pandemic to come in and help, especially using the modern technology that we have, like the internet? I know we have so many people who say, the internet is doing everything, wrong, but not everything about the internet is negative. We can use it for the good. So how do they now doctors, the Catholic doctors, use the internet to help Christians, especially in their communities, to understand the truths?
Yes.
You're on WhatsApp, there are WhatsApp groups for churches, for different churches. We have a WhatsApp group for our church. I've never seen any doctor at any moment share anything.
Oh, you should join my church group. You should join my church group.
Why aren't they helping us? There are so many diseases that are coming up, weird diseases, and we don't know what they are.
I think
we hope that maybe one day a doctor will wake up and write something about them, and you're like, oh my God, so this is what it is.
So doctors who are listening in, Sarah has said it all. Don't keep quiet. Like on my church group, sometimes people post things against what the Ministry of Health has guided. The WHO. First, when the Ministry of Health has guided, usually it's in line with the WHO and CDC. And WHO and CDC are not our enemies. As I shared, I'm sharing my views. I'm not here for
on behalf
of
the
the ministry,
anyone else.
Yes. But I mean, as a Christian doctor, as a Catholic doctor, know the truth by visiting what is the WHO saying, what is CDC saying, what is the Ministry of Health in Uganda saying. Now, when you have that, then be the promoter of that. Don't go into the confusion. And these agencies are not our enemy.
No.
It's just like if we have confusion over scripture, who are you going to go to? Are you going to go to the street because you had someone speaking loudly on a loudspeaker? Or are you going to come to your priest?
Of course, you go to the priest.
You go to the priest because they are trained.
Yeah. And you expect that they know better.
They know better. So that likewise, even with health, we have the Ministry of Health, we have the World Health Organization, and you have the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. And then there's the issue, for example, of abortion.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you have time for that.
Yes, we do. It's the one thing that I think has had the church like the doctors like this and the churches like this, and no one wants to speak about it. We decide to just keep quiet and say, you know what, if we keep quiet, it will just pass and no one will know about it. Let's just ignore it. But these are things that we are ignoring that are affecting us every day.
Yes. And first of all, we are not above God. We are not above the guidance that God has given us in the Catholic Church. So if the church has declared that this is how it's going to be, that is how it is going to be. And so an issue of abortion, many times I get teenagers who are pregnant. I once got this young girl who was pregnant. If I recall, she was 17, a minor. And her parent had sent her to find out from us how big her pregnancy was so that they know whether they can do the abortion or not. And I sat her down and I told her to keep, and in Uganda, it helps us because abortion is illegal. So for the Catholic,
I'm going to first pause. I think we've eaten into the time for adverts. So we'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll start from that very point. Thank you so much for watching. This is UNCCLA Listens and Speaks. I know, right? We'll take a short break and we'll be right back.
UNCCLA videos for all.
This week, your favorite program, Moment of Encounter, will air at 9 p.m. Stay tuned and enjoy UCTV. Good news for all.
This ordination season as UCTV brings you closer to the heart of faith. Witness the spiritual journey of candidates from across the archdioceses and dioceses across Uganda. From heartfelt ceremonies to joyful celebrations, be part of this sacred tradition from the comfort of your home. We'll bring to you live broadcasts of the ordination ceremonies, exclusive interviews with church leaders and newly ordained clergy, special features on the significance of the ordination. Stay tuned to UCTV, good news for all.
Support the Uganda Catholic Television with MTN Momo. Step 1, dial *165*3#. Step 2, enter merchant code 180572. Step 3, enter any amount from 500 Uganda shillings. Step 4, pay using MTN mobile money. Step 5, enter PIN code and send. Step 6, you will receive a confirmation text for supporting the Uganda Catholic Television.
UNCCLA videos for all.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. We are still here on Uganda Catholic Television. We're also live on Zoom and on YouTube. This is UNCCLA Listens and Speaks. This is episode 66 of our conversations. And today I'm having a conversation with Dr. Jacqueline Balungi about the Catholic doctor at work. And we are navigating through the challenges and how we resolve these challenges. Before we went for a break, we had started one of the most uncomfortable conversations that most people don't like to have, the abortion topic and the Catholic Church. So you're a Catholic doctor, someone comes to you to purchase an abortion. You were telling us about the 17-year-old girl.
Yes. Thank you, Sarah. I got this minor and she's coming for her routine care and she's pregnant. And her mother had instructed her to ask us how old her pregnancy was because they wanted to know if they can have the abortion. I was saying in Uganda, we are lucky that the law does not permit abortion. So we're like, yay. But then imagine okay, those who are pro-abortion, I mean, when I do, I mean, it's my views.
Yes.
So I had to sit the young girl down and try to understand exactly what was the issue, why they wanted to have the abortion. And so it's important to understand, why is your person or your patient wanting to have this abortion? And many times it's because of maybe the fear of what will happen. They worry that they're going to terminate their school. Normally it's around there, or how will society view me? I mean, but society viewing you already had sex.
Yes.
Yes. So as a Catholic doctor, we know we are pro-life. That life is a human being. So taking it out, I mean, that's a whole topic. I always look at the debate of people who are pro. I know my American friends be like, how dare I be like, guys, my views, you have your time on the chair. So it's important to encourage pro-life and to see how can this person be supported actually to carry on with their pregnancy and then continue with their aspirations that they had before the pregnancy came.
What does the medical code of conduct say about this? Say this 17-year-old, 15-year-old has been raped, and maybe they don't even know the man who is responsible. So they are traumatized and they are carrying this child. And maybe someone at work says the only thing we can do is help them terminate.
Well, that couldn't happen in Uganda legally, although I know it does happen. But I think it's more important to also think about this unborn human. That is a human being that is being murdered. Recently, I think I commented something on social media where someone was very upset on behalf of others why the parent was there was a baby, I think, who was going through very difficult situations. And of course, there's people who come to help the child. And then someone commented that, why is it, you say this is pro-life. Look at how that child is suffering. So I was like, oh, so you think, you say it's better to murder this child
to
so
prevent it from suffering in future.
I think the answer is trying to find solutions to alleviate the suffering. So for the 17-year-old girl, I convinced her and told her to carry her child. I even told, I mean, sometimes it's the only chance you'll ever have to have a child.
Yes.
We have very many people who
wish they could go back and turn.
When they look back, they did lots of things to their body. So I convinced her, and then I needed to speak to her mom that actually a teenager can have her child, carry on the pregnancy, nurse her baby for up to maybe 1 year. And then all these social structures, that's why I was saying that the Catholic doctor, you need to know who are the social workers around you. And then we see that this girl is skilled, educated to proceed with their life. They'll look back and they'll be so happy to lavish on this baby whom they were thinking that they wanted to abort. So we are pro-life. And the issue of secularity, being secular, we have to know that as Catholics, we have a standard. And our standard is a God standard. We cannot have double standards. And sometimes the owner of the pregnancy is a name you don't even want to mention.
Oh, yes.
Don't abort. Just carry the baby. Like, not everyone should go publicizing like the Savior has been born. The babies can still be born and taken care of by someone else. And of course, you work around preventing that from happening again.
Yes.
Yes. Those are tough conversations, especially conversations around birth control. You have a teenager who is already sexually active.
Yes.
And the hormones are driving them crazy, but it's a work in progress. Those who listen will listen, and those who are not able to listen will still love them and move with them.
I wanted to
But then in nations, just a minute, in nations that accept abortion, because I mean, Uganda is a unique case.
Yes.
There are countries that accept abortion. So I'm imagining a scenario where a woman comes to me and they want an abortion. We have a right.
And it is legal in the country.
I have a right also to choose the kind of patients I work on. But I must make sure I assess the emergency nature of the situation.
Mm.
And maybe if the mother is losing their life, and
Yes.
there you can conduct
You need to
the,
prioritize
yeah, you
one.
need to prioritize. But if it's
Mm.
elective, mother is fine, there's no hurry,
Mm.
you need to be able to actually refer them. These are my views. Refer them to someone who can do it, because them to do it professionally,
Mm.
to murder the child professionally, it's so sad. It's
The
so,
way
it's
you're
so very
saying.
sad. So
To murder the
but if you
child.
don't do that, then they'll probably have it done wrongly. They
Mm.
might lose their life as well.
Yes.
So
Mm.
those are tough conversations that the Catholic doctor is going to have at the workplace,
Mm.
and things about birth control as well. But then, I mean, as Catholics, we should encourage and support our fellow patients, especially those who identify as Catholics. For me, they are so easy. I mean, they come in wearing their rosary, they have the
Yes.
golden, the miraculous medal and all. We need to encourage one another to walk the faith. We need to encourage one another to walk what the church is teaching us,
Mm.
even when things are difficult. Like it's so shocking, my first time to learn about natural birth control, to learn about it was so many years later in my medical practice. It's like the secular world, or the modern world, doesn't want to talk about natural birth control. And I'm saying my views, not MOH, not my employer.
Yes.
This is Jackie. This is my show.
Yes.
Yes, but then these methods actually work.
Yes.
When a woman is able to follow through her fertile periods and all, they
Mm.
work. And it was interesting that the midwife, I hope she's watching, I'm not saying
Mm.
names.
Mm.
I keep saying I'm not saying names and I say things. But the midwife who walked me through that
Mm.
actually had a whole line of other staff who
Mm.
say she's very good. Her guidance and her support works. So there are certain things that we need to actually amplify.
And that's why I was saying that doctors in our communities need to speak up more.
I agree.
Because we don't
I'm
know
a
this.
very loud one.
Yeah.
I'm a very
I'm
loud one.
I'm glad you are, because these are things that Christians need to hear
Yeah.
about.
Mhm.
There is so much talk that goes on WhatsApp, and it's just kwara kwara. We are
Yeah.
just throwing. We are making fun. But we need like doctors. One doctor maybe in each community, church community, to say, you know what, I'm going to spearhead this. Let's have it. Maybe let's do a talk every Thursday. Maybe let's do a talk every Friday. Then people can ask questions, especially the youth.
I like it that it's coming from you.
Yes, we've seen that we have a very young generation. They have so many questions,
and we have to
that
do
we
it well.
shy away from answering.
We have to do it well. One time I wanted to start blogging on HIV and dating. And my girl, I hope she's watching, she looked at my first video and she's like, Mommy, we are going to listen to such information. You have to first look very good.
Oh, yes.
You have to have it with a ring light. Is it a ring light?
Yes.
Oh, you even know those things.
Yeah, you need a ring
I haven't blogged my information in a long time. But now what I'm going to do, I think even those who have not yet started like being on social media, impacting the community with correct information, I think we can start from wherever we are.
Yes.
And then the ring lights and other things
will find you. Yes, they will find you. Yes.
Because people actually need information.
People have to first know you.
Yes.
And know what you're capable of. And then they will tune in. And the more the people will tune in, maybe someone will bring the ring light. Someone will bring the tripod and say, you know what you're doing is really impacting
and we
us.
Have to be...
And we all want to come together and work as a community, because this is impacting a community, not just one person. And one thing I wanted to hear from you, because now you work with patients, with people living positively with HIV/AIDS, especially children and teenagers. Do we, as the Catholic Church, now I'm away from your medical practice, do we have safe spaces where you now, as a Catholic doctor, can refer any of your patients to go and get psychosocial help outside the profession? You know, does the church have these safe spaces where they receive these teenagers, these children, and support them? Because I feel like sometimes in our professions, we feel like the church doesn't support us. Do you feel supported by the church to help the Christians?
I won't speak for the church because I am currently not employed by the church. So I might not know a lot of what they're able to do. So I may not have an answer, but I think it would be a good platform for young Christians, young Catholics, having different ailments, chronic diseases, coming together and getting that spiritual nourishment as people who have to deal with a chronic ailment. And when you talk about safe spaces, I think we need a world where we ourselves, the world, is a safe space for people. Now look at the issue of HIV. These days, I have started to say, as Jackie, as me, that actually, let me even look in the camera. It's the HIV negative people who are spreading HIV. How? HIV negative people are spreading HIV because of stigma. Oh. So my call on the Catholic doctors at the workplace, when you get someone who has HIV, if you're not working in the HIV field, educate yourself on what is current about HIV. And why I say the Catholic doctor, I was reading the other day, I think we have 33 hospitals, over 200 health facilities. And I want to believe in those. I know the Catholic health facilities employ even other faiths. Yes. But I want to believe there are also Catholics in there. I mean, we should hold the torch.
The largest number.
We should hold the candle. We should hold the torch of hope. We should fight stigma against HIV. When people who have HIV take their medications well, a point reaches when, I have to look in the camera, a point reaches when the HIV actually is dormant. A point reaches when this person is almost as good as that person who doesn't have HIV. I say almost, it's because they have to continue taking their medication, even the HIV is dormant. We have a test we call the viral load test. It's usually done in the hospitals. It's not this test that you can go to a pharmacy and buy a test kit. And no, that's not the viral load
the
test.
one that
is an HIV
that
test.
young people are doing.
Yes. So that one will always be positive. Of course, for a few people, it might turn to a false negative, but the person knows they have HIV. So the viral load test, when it starts to read zero copies of the virus in the blood, it means that person is having dormant HIV, especially if they maintain that state for a year and onwards. And HIV treatment is for life. So when people have dormant HIV, they cannot pass it on to others. So for instance, maybe this goes to the church. If there's, let's say, a clergy who needs to, we have a clergy who needs to wed a couple, a discordant couple. Gone are the days when you told someone that don't go ahead with your marriage. No. Discordant couples can marry, and the one who is infected with HIV, when they continue on their medication, they will not infect the one who doesn't have HIV, and they will live a long life, and they'll have HIV negative children, HIV-free children. So we need to fight that stigma, and we make the world a safe place. We need to make, we leave the world alone. Let's make Uganda a safe space.
Our communities, our churches.
For people with HIV. And sometimes people ask me, like, Jackie, do you have HIV? You are so passionate. I mean, I've been 24 years treating people with HIV. And then I always tell them that my status is my business. Dr. Balungi, Andrew, my husband, knows our status. And then in case I'm unwell, I need to see a doctor. They also get to know what we are if they need to. So it's not like you have to go saying, oh, I'm negative or I'm positive. I always say, you're asking that because you want to categorize me. And then either choose to stigmatize me or choose to say that, Jackie is not like us. She's just, in quotes, eating HIV money, you get, which is not correct. So we need to create a safe environment. The Catholic doctors, this is especially for you. I've had situations where our patients have interfaced with some of our Catholic health institutions, and the stigma was bad. And couples were told in privacy, know your muntu, So that shows ignorance. So we need to fight stigma. We need to know that HIV is a chronic, manageable disease. Some people like saying that HIV is like fever. In Uganda, people say like HIV guringa musuja or musuja guruma. People with HIV are fine. So don't say even it's like musuja. It's more like maybe with like hypertension.
Okay.
Yes.
We have a question from Zoom, and
Yes.
unfortunately, my internet has gone off. But
Mhm.
I think it was a Dr. Savino who is asking Dr. Jackie, how do you deal with a mother who is threatening, who wants to purchase an abortion, I think, for their child, and they're actually threatening. I think they threaten the health worker. So how
Mhm.
do you deal with that?
Well, a health worker shouldn't be threatened to offer anything. And like I shared, in Uganda, the law protects us. But it's so important to find out what is it that's making this person want to kill another person. I'm pro-life, so I mean that's murder. You're killing someone who has not yet made their way to earth. People don't start to be human after they've come out of the womb. Jesus didn't start to be Jesus at 33 when he started his ministry. He was Jesus from the word go.
Yes. From when
So
the angel
yes,
came to Mary.
yes, yes. So it's so important to understand the circumstance that is creating the need to terminate another human life, to murder another human life. I was so impressed recently, I think in the USA, they've created safe boxes for babies. A woman can carry her baby to term and carry her baby and put it in that box. They are against walls. And then the fire marshals will take the child and put it up for adoption.
Oh, that's
I mean, that's better than
beautiful.
killing someone.
Yes.
I think and also I've had stories of people who go on to do their abortions. They actually get so stressed about it in future. Right now it looks like it's fine, but then as time goes on, they really get so distraught. So it just shows it's not human to put out another life.
Yeah, I would
And
like
then we
to
have
think
things
that
like
this teenage will one day, like you said, sometimes there is that eternal effect, and you never get a child, and maybe they will meet you one day and say, that is the doctor that took my child,
and you don't even
and I was young, I
remember
didn't.
them. They
She's
didn't
like, I
benefit
couldn't
her.
make that decision because as a minor. So
Yeah.
that doctor should have helped me instead of terminating my baby,
Exactly.
maybe.
But
Yes.
the issue of abortions and pro-life is a whole PhD topic.
Yes. I think we could sleep here if we were to discuss that. But
I think as Catholic doctors, we cannot conform to the standards of this world.
Yes.
It's just like corruption at the workplace. By the way, the other issue is corruption. There is so much corruption. I remember one time Dr. Diana Atwine, I'm not representing anyone's views here.
Yes.
She, I think, had been on a trip. And she was so touched by, I think, the kindness she had found in a certain health facility. And she was like, oh, yes, there was this doctor who had strapped a baby on the back and it went viral. And Dr. Diana was like, she wished the medical profession could be like that.
That caring,
that
much
care, care.
Mm.
So doctors, we have messed up our hospitals with money.
Oh, yes.
It's like money comes first. As a Catholic doctor, you get your salary. You sat in an interview and said you wanted an amount Y. And many times, actually, we even get more than that amount Y. Let us be great. Money is never enough. Even if they said they're giving you the whole World Bank fund,
it cannot be
you
enough.
now want to build a house on the moon and live on Mars, you know? So money can never be enough. May we just have enough to glorify God, not too much to shame his name and forget him, and not too little that we become scorned, you know? We need to have that balance. So I really call on the Catholic doctors and the Catholic doctor at the workplace. Even that judge who is giving you 5,000, don't take it. Don't take money. At my facility, I'm happy, and maybe these days things might have changed, but I know I can almost put my hand to be cut. We don't encourage picking money from patients, and it's a culture I found, and as the clinic head, I'm happy that it's a culture that continues. But of course, there's that person who come and maybe they brought for you a basket of gina. You can't tell them take it back, you know? Or they brought you a bunch of matoke. You chop it and share with your friends. But money has really spoiled our healthcare facilities, not just the Catholic, I don't know about the Catholic facilities, but the healthcare. So we need to fight that spirit. We need to love patients. We need to know that these are not our patients.
Mm.
These are the patients. This is Jesus who is going to ask you when I will
Yeah,
speak. You
this is
ask for
God's
my
people,
money. I had a
yes.
patient who passed on, but before he did, he went to one of the hospitals around and nobody was touching them. He had 20,000. This is a true story. He had 20,000 shillings. He had to give it away in form of a bribe. So he stayed hungry with his mother, with his poor mother. He stayed hungry so that the health worker could do their work.
Yeah.
And then the next day, there was no money. And literally no one was attending. Mom had to go to the village, I think, sell of maize and things. I mean, doctors, we are leaders. We need to show the example to our staff. And then I think as a Catholic doctor, it's nice to have a culture, especially if you work in a Catholic institution. We tend to be leaders by default. I mean, everyone looks up to the doctor, but we have to know we are human. God is above us. We need to have a culture that hosts prayer where there's prayer. Let's go for mass. You know, when you go for mass, you get to learn the teachings and the preachings for the day. You get inspired. Like one time recently, I think it was the Good Shepherd Sunday. And I remember our parish, the priest who said mass, telling us who were also shepherds. I was like, oh,
In
okay.
your profession, everyone is a shepherd.
Even at home.
Yeah.
So I remember walking to my workplace that week. I'm like, Jackie, you're a shepherd. What kind of shepherd are you? So let us be in church.
All right.
Let us not become secular doctors.
Unfortunately, we have to end.
Really? It's already an hour. You want me?
And maybe we'll have to ask UCTV to have us back maybe another Thursday.
God, I wasn't looking at the clock.
But that means that we've had really a good discussion. And as Dr. Jackie was ending, she talked about money, corruption. We've lost mothers, we've lost children, we've lost fathers because someone asked for 50,000. We've been asked for 300,000. I remember when I went to give birth to my daughter, a doctor wouldn't touch me because I didn't give them 300,000.
Let that not be Catholic
and-
doctors. Let it be other
and
doctors,
there's
but
an
not the Catholic
assurance,
doctor,
you know.
not the Christian doctor.
Yeah. So we hope that you, the Catholic doctor, at your workplace, you're doing better. You're living an example of what a Catholic should be. And we wouldn't want to be moving on the street and we find someone telling a story of how a Catholic doctor has caused them never maybe to want to go back to a hospital. So let us show care in our healthcare. Let us show love like that of Jesus Christ. And yeah, let's show love to Dr. Jackie, who has agreed to speak to us today. It's a pleasure to host you. And it's a pleasure to all those who have been listening to us. Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope to see you some other time. And I hope to continue maybe this discussion with Dr. Jackie off the air. A very good evening. Thank you so much for watching.
UCTV. Videos for all.